In this presentation, I'm going to share a research study on using software that is used with the interactive whiteboards. Many schools have spent money on purchasing interactive whiteboards and other interactive tools. This Promethean classroom technology, Active Inspire software, is used with interactive whiteboards, slates, and learner response systems. How do we know if these tools are effective, and in what ways do they aid student learning? My research focuses on understanding the impact when students use a computer to interact with the software. The school where I work, each teacher has the Active Inspire software, a slate, and access to learner response systems, but they do not have the interactive whiteboards. Active Inspire software, also known as Flipcharts, can be used to create interactive learning modules. My first goal was to start researching and learning how these tools can be used effectively. As I spent time learning about the tools, the power of the tool to provide differentiated instruction intrigued me. I felt it important to investigate the usage of Flipcharts with direct student engagement scenarios to assist in guiding decisions for my classroom and possibly others. The purpose of my research is to start inquiring how to differentiate math instruction through these use of Flipcharts with individual students. I saw an opportunity with a 3-week math extension class I teach to begin investigating this idea. This consisted of students needing supplemental math instruction that were identified through the response to intervention process. In my research, I sought to uncover if there is any significant impact on proficiencies related to applying multiplication, communicating multiplication, calculating products. I was also interested in what activities the students found helpful. My data collection for this core extension class contained 5 students identified in the response to intervention process. The class met 11 days over a 3-week school period for 35 minutes. This was the second part of a 6-week class. I kept a teaching journal, the Flipchart products, interviews, and assessments. And from this, I tried to collect data to look at whether it improved proficiency and what was helpful for the students. Next, I'm going to show you some of the products, the Flipcharts themselves, that the students interacted with. As you see, the Flipcharts could provide pictures, text, and even audio so that you could supplement the text with some audio. This was especially beneficial maybe for English language learners or those that maybe had some reading difficulties. Another feature of using the Flipchart software is incorporating audio and video. You could incorporate video by going to the internet, or you could embed the video and use different music or demonstrations to help the students understand. Instructional videos could be included. You could also use instructional videos that already existed on the internet and launch the internet, or you could embed them. Here, this would take you to a link on the internet. Then after watching that, the students could try doing the problem below. They could create whatever objects they wanted using the different tools. They could write, they could click for audio hints, and they could check their answer using the calculator. This was also nice because I could come back and look at this again to see what they did, to see if they understood the concept, or they could also go back and look at it after they knew if they had it correct to see if they needed to be reminded how to do this type of problem again. So you could save this. They could also discover patterns through creating information. They could create different patterns here to discover squares, continue with these patterns to discover the understanding of squares. Another asset I found with using the Flipchart software is that you could have the students create screen recordings. I could create screen recordings to demonstrate, but also they could create screen recordings to demonstrate. Here's a little example.
6 times 0 and that equals 0. And I don't know about commutative property. I probably do, but I just don't.
And that was a pre-assessment to see what they understood before starting. And then here's an assessment after they've covered some of the material.
The sum of times is either an X or a dot. For identify the factors in product equals 4. The factors are 2 and 2, and the product is 4. For rewrite the multiplication equation using the commutative property.
So there was a demonstration again of what they learned, and they could communicate so you could understand what they understood with their terms, how they could apply it, and it was very beneficial in determining their abilities on this concept. Now, next I will show you some of the findings based on the varying assessments, journals, and student feedback. Here's a breakdown of the application proficiency. One was a written pre- and post-test. Another was a Flipchart screen recording that they created. And as you see, the students either maintained or improved their proficiency in applying multiplication concepts. For the calculation proficiency results, the students were given 3 2-minute time multiplication assessments, one each of the 3 weeks, and there was also a written calculation pre- and post-assessment. Overall, they seemed to provide the learning opportunities that helped them increase their proficiency. The only person that decreased was up here a little bit, where he was already at a high proficiency. Here are the results for the vocabulary assessments. There was a pre- and post-written assessment, and again, the vocabulary was assessed using a Flipchart screen recording. This was the most significant improvement for all students. I really thought that the recordings allowed for them to really work on the vocabulary and communicating the concepts. The students seemed to like using the different activities. While they did not like the screen recordings, they did say throughout their journals or in their interviews that it did help them learn. Additional findings, I found the students, or I as a teacher, could use this to differentiate for the students. So the students could move objects, they could do things with the items, they could listen and talk, and they could also see through animations or graphics. I also like the audio for specific student interventions. There was a student who maybe didn't ask if he didn't understand the instructions, but I did notice that he would listen to the audio.
Hello, I'm Super Mover and Doer. I'm going to help route the flip.
So that was a nice benefit. And again, evaluating the concepts using the Flipchart products and screen recordings. Again, you could watch screen recordings to see and evaluate their understanding. It seems the use of the Active Inspire Flipchart technology can offer approaches that utilize the following 5 pedagogy standards from Dalton: developing language and literacy, connecting to student lives, teaching complex thinking, teachers and students working together, and teaching through conversation. So the Flipcharts provided a means for student-teacher and student-student conversations through sharing approaches to a problem. It assisted in developing and providing support in language and literacy through listening or creating audio, assisted in evaluating ability to communicate the concepts and vocabulary through the screen recordings. It was a great way to present connections to the students' lives in both real life as well as incorporating fun with learning through multimedia, educational websites, and stories, and provided for exploring and discovering concepts through creation of their learning. As I reflect, I feel I was able to make some first steps on how the Flipcharts assist in differentiating math instruction for individual student interaction. I hope to continue analyzing data in various contexts to find a pattern of results from available tools that insist improving classroom practices. I hope this study influences others to analyze and evaluate what tools, along with classroom environments and pedagogical approaches, seem to be effective for student learning. I do believe the key is the instructional method and not the medium that delivered that message. One consistent message that seems to be apparent in history and current research is that the desired learning outcomes need to be the focus in any lesson. However, the Flipchart lessons are a great mediation tool to differentiate instruction and include a variety of instructional approaches to meet the needs of diverse learners in the classroom. Well, thanks for your time, and special thanks to the following people that aided in making this research possible, and especially thanks to the group of students that I worked with.